It's Relationships at Work, a leadership podcast helping you build workplace connection, improve culture, and avoid blind spots. I am your host, Russel Lolacher. Glad to be back after a bit of a break over the last couple of weeks. Who am I? Well, I'm a communications and leadership expert with a couple of decades of experience under my belt. And I also have that thing that we share, that we have in common. That's our relationship. We both have curiosity on how we can both make the workplace a better place. This is a mini solo episode. That's right, every Thursday now. I'm changing things up. Our guest episodes are now Mondays, and our solo episodes are now going to be Thursdays. At the same time, we release the Raw Note newsletter, both in email and in LinkedIn. So lots going on. These are little mini episodes. They're quick, they're fast, they're dirty, usually under about 10 minutes. They're all inspired by either the guest episode earlier in the week or the Raw Note newsletter that comes out weekly as well. This one, it's a little personal because I just came back from a break, as I mentioned, because as I mentioned in the last solo episode but right before my break, I talked about almost hitting burnout, which I did. So I'm on the other side of that. So it gave me something to ponder, a question that I want to pose to you and that I sort of formulated as part of this episode, which is, how do you know you've really actually had a break from work? A few weeks ago, I took a pause. A much needed pause. Not the kind where you sneak in a few emails here and there, and not the kind where you prep for work. Oh, if I just work now, it's not really working, but when I come back, I'll be ready. Nah, not that. A real one. The kind where I stepped away from creating, producing, and strategizing all things relationships at work. Wasn't easy. I love doing this. I love learning. I love talking with you. For years, I've been recording and producing this podcast. It's been an amazing positive influence on me. I love doing this. But over the last few months, I'd increased the frequency to daily. That's 4 themed episodes a week, plus a solo one on Fridays, plus the Raw Note newsletter, social post, visuals, editing, producing, all on top of a full-time job I also truly love. It was a lot. So this platform, the Relationships at Work platform, started to feel like work. So I stopped. Not because I didn't care. Oh, God, no, I care. But because I cared too much to keep going in a way that wasn't sustainable. Here's the thing about taking a real break. It's not about filling the time differently. It's about not filling it at all. Okay? I didn't retreat to a cabin or go offline for weeks. Instead, I just gave myself a few small, intentional little habits to help myself reconnect. And I found a few things really, really helped. And if you're ever looking to take a break and you want to sort of maybe have some touchstones or ways of reconnecting with yourself, maybe you want to try some of these. The first was having grounding moments. I wasn't ready to go full meditation quite yet. I've gone on and off meditation over the years. Grounding moments are when I just recognized my breath, the sound of my breath, the weight of my body, wherever I was, standing or sitting. I got real present. And I just did it for like a few seconds. Whether I was stopped in my car, whether I was going for a walk, whether I was just sitting, watching TV, breath, sitting, done. You do that a few times and it had amazing impacts. Another one was daily journaling. I jot whatever surfaced, a thought, a frustration, something I was grateful for. I've had structure before in my journaling, and I didn't do that so much this time. And it was fine. It was great. It was just so calming. Some days it was a full page, other days it was like a single line, but it really was just about checking in, not like checking a box. Hey, I journaled today. It wasn't like that. And lastly, I just detached from creation and strategy. Full done, gone, finished. There was a huge presentation I did recently. I'll talk about that some other time. And that was a little bit of work, but that was already committed to before I took this break. And that was sort of where I cheated a little bit, but the groundwork had already been done. Really what I did was, okay, I'm wired to build things, okay? Frameworks, podcast episodes, plans, but I didn't want to do any of that. I didn't want to outline stuff. I didn't want to do analytics, no content calendar, nada. Just space to breathe without turning it into some output I had to get out of things. No. And over time, it really started to shift for me. Now, I did set a return date. I did set this week as to when I was going to come back, but I was open to adjusting it if I needed to, right? No pressure to come back. I'm controlling all this. It is on me. But it was good to have a firm guideline so that I could check in when I was getting close, going, am I really ready to come back? And thankfully, you know what? I was. But how did I know I was good to come back? Glad you asked. Because what the biggest thing was, I wasn't on edge so much. I felt like I could get angrier before if I was just pushed in a certain way. I just felt like I was just on the edge of something. Maybe it was anger, maybe it was some emotion, but that felt like I could step away from that crevice, that chasm a bit. I felt calmer. That constant the hum of urgency, it just quieted down. I felt like I could give things their proper weight. Now, not everything is a now issue when it came to the podcast or creativity. Some things could take time. That was kind of okay. I wasn't rushing through things. I moved through decisions and conversations. I felt more intentional about them without some mental sprint that used to drive everything I did. Now, keep in mind, I haven't fixed everything, but taking 6 weeks just to pull away, yeah, I felt it. I feel it. And eventually, I just noticed something I hadn't felt in a while, which was the genuine desire to create again, to get back into this, to roll up the sleeves, whatever metaphor you want. Not because I had to just put something out there to publish, to stay on schedule, but because I missed the act of sharing ideas, of engaging with you, connecting. It was a real break, and it didn't erase my responsibility. It redefined my relationship with those responsibilities. It's when you come back with clarity, right? Not clutter of all the things. It's when you can step into your work with steadier energy and maybe a lighter grip. You don't feel like you're just trying to hold on. Because as leaders, you and I, we talk so much about performance, productivity, purpose, but we often forget about compassion, rest, kindness, which are kind of the glue to those P words. And if we never step away, how do we expect to return with any sort of perspective? See, another P word. So my pause, okay, this is just getting silly. It reminded me that leadership isn't just about showing up. It's about knowing when and how to show up for ourselves so we can show up for others. So the question I posed when I started this episode and when I finished up my break was, how do we know we've had a real break from work? Because I do this with a podcast. You might need to do it from your day-to-day 9-to-5 job or beyond in the hours that you work. Number one, you feel a real presence again. You can sit in a moment with your partner, your coffee, your colleagues, your teams, your thoughts, and just not immediately drift to an inbox or a to-do list. Another thing is you don't dread returning to the work. The idea of getting back to work doesn't tighten your chest and freak you out. It kind of excites you, or at least feels like it's possible. And last, you remember who you are outside of work. Work can get so tied to identity. We've talked about it quite a bit on this show. Your conversations, hobbies, energy, it's not all defined by the job, by the work, right? You're reconnected with your life again. You breathe again. It's not just about your workload or your things you got to check off a list, right? A real break isn't time away. It's sort of a reclamation of that identity. And I don't use reclamation. See, I even pronounced it differently both times. I don't use the word lightly. It's when you stop existing only as the person who works. I am just a worker. I am just a producer. No, you're not. You're a person that lives. And you have to remember that. And that, to me, is what sustainable leadership actually looks like. It's that check-in. It's that care. It's that kindness. It's that taking a breath so you know you really took a break. Okay, that's it. A solo episode in and out the door and in your ear. I hope you found this interesting, knowledgeable, valuable. I'm thrilled to be back. If you couldn't tell, I'm excited to get into this. I've got so many guests I want to share with you and so many thoughts and insights that I think hopefully will hit home with you and your own leadership journey. And I'm super excited to start doing that. So if you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn yet, please do, whether Russel Lolacher, my personal page, or the Relationships at Work LinkedIn page, either or. I'd love to get to know you a little bit better and find out a bit more about your own leadership journey. Okay? All right. Look forward to talking more. Take care.